Dr. Mark Daly is president and CEO of Birmingham Functional Medicine, founder of Fibromyalgia University, a certified functional medicine practitioner, and a nutritional counselor with advanced education in functional endocrinology, functional blood chemistry, the brain and neurotransmitters, and thyroid function. With over 25 years in clinical practice, he focuses on chronic conditions like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, irritable bowel syndrome, as well as autoimmune conditions. Let me introduce Dr. Mark Daly.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Mark Daly. We're going to talk today about some of the functional medicine testing that I find extremely important when we're trying to unravel fibromyalgia cases or chronic fatigue cases. So we're going to talk about food sensitivity testing for the patient with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, IBS, or even autoimmune disease. Many fibromyalgia sufferers are under the misconception that fibromyalgia is actually caused by one underlying condition. Now, in my 15 years working with fibromyalgia patients and those with other chronic conditions, I find that there are always multiple layers of dysfunction. Now, remember, fibromyalgia is a syndrome. A syndrome is simply a set of symptoms that can be caused by different underlying issues. Now, this is vital for you to understand because a syndrome is a set of symptoms that can be caused by different underlying issues. And I'm going to explain that. So if you took 10 different fibromyalgia patients and unraveled all of their underlying issues, there would be a number of common denominators, no doubt, but none of them are exactly the same. Some fibromyalgia sufferers have already been diagnosed with not only fibromyalgia, but irritable bowel syndrome, lupus, which is an autoimmune disease, as well as food sensitivities and possibly mold exposure. Another fibromyalgia sufferer may have high levels of environmental toxins, heavy metals, and food sensitivities, plus yeast, which is a fungal overgrowth. So all of those can cause pain, fatigue, brain fog, GI distress, sleep disturbances, as well as skin outbreaks, constipation, diarrhea. Really, the list goes on and on. So although the origin of their fibromyalgia is different, they share many of the same symptoms. Now, traditional medicine basically treats the symptom, not the underlying cause. Functional medicine uses a different approach, and two of the most important tools are a thorough health history, which includes a review of medical records, and then the advanced laboratory testing. That advanced laboratory testing is a key to unravel the hidden mystery that's causing your fibromyalgia or your chronic disease. Once we do a thorough health history and a complete metabolic assessment form, we have a really good idea what some of the underlying triggers may be. For instance, if we know that you've been exposed to mold in the past, that'll be a test that we would like to order. If we know that you have significant GI gastrointestinal distress, we'd want to do a comprehensive stool analysis. If we find that you have symptoms that indicate a fungal overgrowth like candida, we would like to test that in order to confirm our suspicions. If you work in an industry or live in an area where there has been a lot of environmental toxins, we might want to look at environmental toxicity where your body is concerned. So with every fibromyalgia patient I've treated, the gastrointestinal system is always involved and often at the core of the issue. The gastrointestinal system is really like the hub of a bicycle wheel. Picture that hub. It's a very small round center, but it's got spokes that go to every other area of your physiology. With that said, I find that almost all, or at least 90% of my fibromyalgia patients have some form of food sensitivity. Now, that's not a food allergy, which might cause immediate swelling and potentially be life-threatening. A sensitivity may not show up for a day or two, but might take on the form of skin outbreaks, brain fog, body-wide pain, fatigue, and even depression. Food sensitivities may be the number one cause of fibromyalgia flare-ups. The reason they can cause systemic or body-wide problems is that they aggravate your immune system, and they can cause it to go into overdrive and cause system-wide inflammation. And it's that inflammation that can cause many of the symptoms I mentioned earlier. The big picture is that we unravel the hidden causes and triggers of your chronic condition by doing the proper lab testing. Today we're going to review the information that I get from this food sensitivity test. So I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint mode now. Okay, we're going to jump into the test sample, if you will. Here you're looking at page 1 of the food sensitivity testing. I'm hoping you can see this well, but I'll describe what we're looking at. So here is the blue strips are actually categories. So you've got dairy, you've got beans and peas, you've got fruits, you've got grains. So under dairy, what I want you to notice is casein is a protein found in dairy. Then you got cheddar cheese, cow's milk, goat's milk, mozzarella cheese, whey, which is a protein found in dairy, as well as yogurt. Now, what I want you to see, if you look here, you got the green, and then you got yellow, and then red. So casein, that black line extends off the charts. So when you see a category like this, and there are a bunch of black lines, you know that there's a serious issue with dairy, for instance. So this particular patient would struggle with dairy. Now, can you imagine if every morning they got up and ate a bowl of cereal and they poured wheat and milk on that? So their cereal's predominantly wheat, and then they put milk on it, and they're allergic to milk. Then we look down in the peas and the beans. We see very few marks. Soybean is coming up, so that may be an issue for this patient. We're looking at fruits, and fruits don't often come up this high, but this person has got some issues with apples, apricots, bananas, blueberries, cantaloupe. So we see extended lines. So that gives us an indication how our immune system is responding when it's introduced to these foods. Over here, this is a continuation of the fruits. So we see kiwi, mango, peaches, strawberries, watermelons. Now, guys, this is extensive. This is a pretty significant issue. We've got off the chart dairy. We've got a bunch of fruits that are very high on this chart. Then we're looking at grains, We're looking at grains, and then we've got gliadin. Now, this is important because gliadin, you may not be able to see this, but it is the protein found in gluten. So one of the bonuses with this test is that it gives us an idea if we have a gluten sensitivity. And I love that. And then down here it's quinone. They're responding to that. Then we go to the next page. They continue with grains, and we see wheat gluten and whole wheat and how they respond to that. It's still in the green, so it's not horrible, but there is a reaction. Then back into seafoods and fish. We see mackerel and lobster, as well as tilapia. Now, sometimes it's the fish itself. Sometimes it's a crustacean that's the problem. Other times it's the way the food is raised or additives. Then we look at meat and fowl. This is egg whites and egg yolks are quite high. So imagine this person getting up and eating bacon and eggs. So the eggs could be driving this person's immune system, causing it to be heightened, causing systemic or system-wide inflammation, and they wonder why they wake up and they're hurting. Okay, and then here we've got nuts and seeds, hazelnut and walnuts. They responded to. I'm going to move me. Then here vegetables. You've got artichokes, and then you've got cabbage. I would say that's probably fairly rare. And then here on the third page, we have a continuation of vegetables. See, most of the vegetables are very low in this particular person, but then zucchini is off the charts. We're looking at herbs and spices, nothing big there. But then when we come over to dill, it's off the charts. Then down here to miscellaneous, we see bromelain, we see cocoa bean, and we see meat glue. Now, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? So what is meat glue? Well, it could be gluten, or it could be another product that they are adding to your meat to keep it together, and that's pretty scary. Over here, where they basically give us a summary. So they're summarizing what we reacted to. So this person had high reactivity in a number of different categories. They had moderate in a number of categories, and then they had low. So the things I'm pointing to are simply the cow's milk, the egg yolks, the gluten or the gliadin, and the glue meat. Now, what kind of insight, how do you think this insight might help someone create a diet that doesn't aggravate their underlying symptoms? Now, keep in mind, I mentioned in the beginning of this video that all of the chronic pain patients, especially fibromyalgia, have multiple layers of dysfunction. This is simply one of them. We know that this person has food sensitivities that are at least in part driving their underlying symptoms. Do you think this information would serve you well? I believe that it will. So why should we do the IgG food sensitivity test? Well, number one, you want to determine if you're eating foods that aggravate your immune system. That is first and foremost. We'll also find out if you have a yeast overgrowth, like Candida. That's another part of this test. We're going to determine if we have gluten sensitivity, and that's big on everyone's mind. Gluten is found in wheat products. It's found, in so many different things, bread and pasta and whatnot. And then we want to determine if we might have leaky gut syndrome, because if you score high, like this person did, on multiple categories, that might mean that food particles are slipping from your gut into your blood, causing a food sensitivity. So the test is really, really helpful. It's helped me over the years serve my patients. I will say that the test is done in the convenience of your home. We send the test kits directly to you. Just a few drops of blood on a test panel is all it takes. And they give you something that you could easily prick your finger, no pain, and put a few drops of blood on the test panel. If you struggle with that, you can ask your spouse to help you. The test kits can be at your door in just a few days. Results are back in about 14 days. Now, if you want help with the testing, or you'd like to discuss the possibility of doing the testing, I'm happy to talk to you about it. You simply call my office, tell them, hey, I'd like to talk about the food sensitivity test, and chances are I won't be available when you call, but I will certainly call you back and try to give you some insight into how the test could help you. And we could talk a little bit about your history to find out if this is the proper test for you. So anyway, I hope that this has been helpful. Thanks so much for your time and your attention. God bless you, and have a great day.
If you are struggling with a chronic condition and would like more information, feel free to visit www.birminghamfunctionalmedicine.com. You are also welcome to set up a phone or Zoom consultation with Dr. Daly at www.talktodrd.com.